Yesterday, we celebrated the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And what's always been amazing to me is not only all of the sacrifices and the differences that he made in our lives, but also all those that supported him. The sacrifices that were made that were life-altering and life-changing for so many of us. And it so came to a point for me several years ago when I got to meet one of those civil rights icons directly in an event and a story that I'd like to share with you this morning. Hi everyone, Chris Natzke here with Black Belt Leadership Speaking and Coaching with your Mind of a Champion tip of the week. Back in 2018, I was asked to do a Discover Your Breakthrough board breaking experience for one of my good friends, Matt Garino. Matt's the CEO and founder of an organization called Unlocking Equity. And what they do in that company is they actually renovate dilapidated properties and create medium income housing for people or low income housing for people to be able to afford and have the dignity of having their own homes. And what Matt had been doing is he was bringing in people from all over the country. And the guest of honor was a man from Memphis, Tennessee named Reverend Harold Middlebrook. Now, many of us have never heard of Reverend Middlebrook. I know I hadn't, but he is an absolute icon in the civil rights world. He was one of the organizers of the March on Washington in 1963. He was one of the leaders in the voting drive in Selma in 1965, and he was with Dr. King when he was assassinated in 1968. So the night before the event, we had some, what I guess you would call a cocktail party where we got to know one another. And I remember sitting next to Reverend Middlebrook as he was just telling stories about his adventures and journeys with Dr. King. And I sat there with a number of people mesmerized by his stories for over 2 hours. And at the end of the evening, I went up to him and I thanked him for all he had done. And I said, sir, we're going to be doing a board breaking experience tomorrow. Are you going to be joining us? And he waved me off and he said, no, I'm too old for that. I'm going to leave that up to you young guys. Well, as I was leaving the restaurant, Matt grabbed me by the arm and he said, I'd give anything to see Reverend Middlebrook break a board tomorrow. And I winked at him and I said, I'm working on it. So it was the morning of the event the next day, and I'm up and I'm speaking, I'm doing my thing, and I noticed to the left, Reverend Middlebrook is sitting there and he's really engaged in what I'm speaking about. And then we stand up to start warming up for the board break, and we're throwing punches in the air and yelling, and Reverend Middlebrook is standing up and he's doing it as well. Then we all line up and we start to hit pads, getting ready to do the board break, and there's Reverend Middlebrook and he's in line hitting the pads. So now it comes to the board breaking. Now what we do in the board breaking experience is we actually have the participants write on one side of the board a breakthrough that they want to have, and on the other side of the board they write what their limiting beliefs are. And now all of a sudden Reverend Middlebrook walks up for his turn and he hands the board to the holder. And I'll never forget to this day what he had said, what his breakthrough was. He said, I'm finally going to listen to my wife and start developing a program so I can mentor younger people so I can keep my message alive. When he said that, you could hear a pin drop. And then he took 2 practiced touches on the board and then let out a yell and bam, snap, cracked the board. At 75 years old, he broke his first board and the place went nuts. Well, it was probably one of the highlights of my professional speaking career to see that happen, but then it just got better. Because after the event, I had made a number of copies of my book available for the event, and Reverend Middlebrook came up to have his copy signed. And when he came up to me, I said, sir, I just want you to know what an honor it was to have you be here and do this with us today. And he basically stood straight at attention, and he said, the honor is mine. And he bowed. And it made me think of something he had said the night before. He said, I just considered myself a foot soldier, doing anything that needed to be done for the cause. A foot soldier, humility, and in that comes power. And with that, it reminds me of a verse that I want to share with you right now from one of my favorite quotes. It's from William Arthur Ward and goes something like this. You must be silent before you can listen. You must listen before you can learn. You must learn before you can prepare. You must prepare before you can serve. And you must serve before you can lead. You must serve before you can lead. So in this week that we're celebrating Dr. King, I hope that all of us get in touch with that powerful essence of the foot soldier, to go out and serve to the best way that we can, to be the leaders we were designed to be. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. This has been Chris Natzke with Black Belt Leadership Speaking and Coaching, and we'll see you next time on the Mind of a Champion Tip of the Week.